Hello and welcome to the video. In this video we're going to talk about my impressions of these things here. Now these are the F7X goggles, FPV goggles from Top Sky. I'll put a link in the description if you're interested in having a look. These are relatively expensive goggles. They're nowhere near as expensive as the Ionways that we looked at a while ago, which are very quickly becoming the best of the new breed of the goggle market that's around. And we also then looked at the EV100s recently as well. That was about 120 quid. So at the moment these goggles pretty much fit in terms of a price point exactly between those EV100s, which are very cheap and cheerful, but the optics are a little bit interesting, and then the Ionways, which actually perform really well, but unfortunately we're missing a couple of key features and were relatively expensive, almost the cost of SKY X7S and Fat Sharks. Now on paper these goggles should be absolutely fantastic, because if you look at the specs we have lots of the things that we're interested in looking at Pilot. We have nice easy accessible controls for balance and contrast, easy channel and volume settings. It has 720p panels in here, which is quite impressive. We have IPD adjustment, we have a demisting fan, we have a data out port for the head tracker, that's the DC in for the battery that's supplied, AV in as well. We have a HDMI port, the ability to turn the receiver on and off. We're going to play with it on board DVR. Yep, so you've got one of them, and it's got a headphone jack as well. It's designed to be modular. You get the module with it and the antenna. Let me take the antenna, I'll just show you the bay. So you get this little receiver with it as well that has the same pin outs as the Fat Shark modules. Unfortunately, the bay that they've made here is so shallow that you can only really fit this one supplied. If you try and fit any of the other modules that are available on the market, and there is loads now, it won't fit in that side. And here you have the SD card for the DVR, and then space for head tracker and things like that in here as well. So from a spec point of view, when I was looking at this stuff, I got really excited because I thought, wow, okay, somebody's bringing out the same kind of goggles that you can get from the premium manufacturers, people like Fat Shark, people like Skyzone, and also, you know, it has all the things that the Ionway Commanders doesn't have. Unfortunately, the reality of these goggles does not live up to the promise, and I'm coming to the same conclusion that if you've watched any other videos on these goggles, other reviewers are coming to as well. Now there's some really nice touches, and they have genuinely tried to produce something that's going to work. You know, we have a nice smart battery, it's a completely different form factor from everybody else. It has the little LEDs on the top to tell you whether it's charged or not. The fact it's modular, the fact it's got a DVR, the fact it has very high definition screens are all absolutely in its favour. Let me just undo this thing at the back here. Is if you plug the battery in to the goggles and they'll power up and you can see them all working, the screens go off until your face is against the goggles, and then this sensor in the middle detects it and turns the image on and off, which is a really nice touch, very clever. That's something that we're not getting in the high-end goggles yet. But then if I start to point out the things that aren't particularly good, you'll start to see why I'm not a very big fan of these at all. I don't like this enclosure, I find it particularly uncomfortable. It does come with a piece of foam that you can connect. The weird way is they've decided that the way to connect this piece of foam onto the inside is using a bag of little Velcro straps. A really odd choice. There's an awful lot of light leakage from this when you put it onto your face, so I'm constantly aware that it isn't fitting perfectly. It does take the Fat Shark IPD adjustment lenses. I don't mind those. I can see quite the screens relatively easily with the IPD adjustment. But again, the quality of the optics, even though initially, you know, with these very flat pieces here, and it all looks very impressive, the quality of the optics isn't where you'd want them to be. The screens are 720p, but they seem to be cropping part of the image off, so I'm losing the bottom of the image a little bit. I'm not seeing everything that the camera is sending, and it's even worse when you try it with a DVR. The DVR is cutting off the bottom of the recording. It says it's recording in 720p, but the quality of the recording is terrible. The frame rate appears to be wrong. So it just looks like an upscaled image which you're going to have to play with in a video editor to get any usable footage out of. I don't know why it's so difficult at the moment for goggle manufacturers to come into this market that's been dominated by Fat Shark, Skyzone and a couple of other big names and make good goggles that work really well. This is another example similar to the EV100s where it just feels like they haven't gone out and tested it with pilots and got the feedback and refined it to the point where it becomes a really usable system. This surround piece keeps coming off, so even if you get it on your face and try and keep it comfortable, then you'd have a chance that it's going to slip as it's pressing against your face. And over time this becomes very, very slick indeed if you're flying in weather where you're stood in the sunshine. As you can see, I'm constantly fighting with it to keep it in place. Why they can't take some of the really good established ideas and build on those ideas to make something that's really innovative and new, but at a lower price point to really shake this part of the market up, I really don't understand at the moment. £270 is getting into the top end again. And for that kind of money, go after your entry-level Fat Sharks or your Skyzones, or you're almost at those Ionway Commanders, which at the time I was disappointed in because they didn't have some features and were quite expensive. But from the other goggles that we've looked at recently, where people are trying to break into this kind of all-in-one market, they are definitely the best of the bunch. So a message to all of those developers out there who might be sat furiously trying to make a set of FPV goggles like this, the all-in-one style, can you just take a little bit more time, please, and put it in the hands of some pilots and test it out and get all the wrinkles out before you could put it into market. These things, if they were kind of sub £100, you might be able to forgive some of those foibles, but not when you're nearly charging the same amount of money as those premium brands will, with all of that backup warranty and assurance you get as well. The thing that really rammed it home for me was I'd been trying to fly with these for a couple of days and eventually just kind of gave up, and then went to the field to do a review of a quadcopter and took my Fat Shark HD3s with me, and it was fabulous. I could actually see what I was looking at. I could see the edge of the screen. Nothing was blurred. The fit was great. They just worked, and I could plug my diversity module in and get it all working as well. Thank you for taking the time to watch that video, and particularly for watching right to the very end. We try and release a video on Tuesday and Friday, and sometimes we'll release 1 or 2 extra ones in a week as well. All of the videos on the channel are organised into easy to use playlists, so do have a look in there, because if you're interested in a subject, we organise all the videos on that subject so you can find them easily all together in one place. If you like what we're doing, then please like and subscribe and tell others about the channel so they can come and join as well. We're available in all of the usual social media places, particularly in places like Instagram, Twitter, and we also share all of our 3D designs on Thingiverse.